Did you hear about Blake Lively and her dragon? Perez Hilton here, and there has been a lot of chatter today about Taylor Swift and Ryan Reynolds' wife.
So, it looks like Taylor Swift's efforts to stay far away from Hollywood drama may have just failed her big time. She's suddenly making headlines with her best friends Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds, but for all the wrong reasons. And word on the street is, things are about to get a whole lot uglier. Taylor reportedly found herself caught in the middle of the legal mess between Blake and Justin Baldoni after he claimed Blake actually tried to use Taylor's name to intimidate him. The second that came out, Taylor could see the PR storm coming straight for her. So she quickly tried to distance herself and deny having any role in the situation. But Justin isn't letting her off the hook, so he's hinting at explosive receipts. And even claims there's private footage involving Taylor, Blake, and Ryan that could change everything if it ever came to light. So here's the big question. What exactly did Justin say? Did Taylor mastermind parts of this scandal behind the scenes? And is she really pulling away from Blake to protect her own reputation? One thing's for sure, if Justin drops the full truth, this drama could be bigger than anyone ever expected.
And I hear that Taylor may have had some influence in getting
Yes, she did. Yeah, I know. I don't even know if I'm meant to be saying it, but I'm saying it. Yeah, she was a helpful part of the process of the audition, which I found out later after I got it, and that rocked my world. Yeah. I have no words.
There's a lot of evidence here that Blake Lively and Taylor Swift were very, very close at the time that all this went down with Justin Baldoni. Beyond the text message, like a lot of things they were doing was very Taylor Swifty, dropping the Easter egg.
Ever since Blake Lively landed herself in legal trouble with her best friend Taylor Swift has suddenly gone AWOL, according to reports. Taylor is quietly stepping back from her friendship with Blake, and the reason might shock you. Sources claim Taylor feels like she was used as an intimidation tactic in a lawsuit she never wanted to be part of in the first place. But here's the twist: she was very much dragged into the mess. According to Justin Baldoni's massive $400 million lawsuit, Blake allegedly brought one of her superstar friends, believed to be Taylor, along with Ryan Reynolds, to pressure him into accepting her script rewrites. These rewrites centered around a pivotal rooftop scene. Justin wasn't on board with Blake's version, but with Ryan and her A-list bestie backing her up, he felt he had no choice but to comply. Court documents even include text messages where Blake admitted Ryan and her mega-celebrity friend gave their stamp of approval before she pushed the pages onto Justin. In her own words, she called them her dragons. Comparing herself to Khaleesi from Game of Thrones and saying her dragons protected her in battles, fans were quick to assume Blake was talking about Ryan and Taylor. And let's just say, Taylor did not appreciate being dragged into the drama. In fact, insiders claim Taylor never even planned to be part of this so-called intervention. She had only gone to Blake's New York penthouse to visit, not to strong-arm anyone. She was reportedly stunned to walk in and find the heated conversation still going on now. Taylor is quietly taking a step back from Blake. Sources say she doesn't want to get tangled up in lawsuits, rewrites, or behind-the-scenes politics, especially when her name was being used without her consent. Friends close to Taylor also thought Blake's dragon text was unnecessary and unfair, since it basically turned Taylor into a pawn in Blake's battle. At the end of the day, Taylor is focused on her own image and career. She was happy that her music was featured in the film, but she never had any intention of influencing Blake's projects. To Taylor, this is all one big misunderstanding that spiraled out of control. But the bigger question remains, is Taylor being used as collateral damage in Blake and Justin's war? Or was she more involved than she'd like us to believe?
She was involved during this time heavily with Ryan Reynolds and with Blake Lively. And for that reason, my friend, I am sorry, but you have to be subpoenaed. I'm sorry.
Most people online believe Taylor Swift isn't really escaping this mess. She's just trying to control the damage. One viral comment put it bluntly: "This is clearly damage control. It's too late, and Taylor will be called out for her role in this saga. The rats are jumping ship." Another comment went even further, claiming Taylor was more involved in the movie takeover than she ever admitted. According to this fan, Taylor allegedly didn't like the original composer and had him replaced, which, if true, suggests she wasn't just a supportive friend, but an active part of Blake's creative power moves. They added that it felt unfair, even cruel, that so many big names might have colluded to take the project away from Justin Baldoni. And that's not all. Viewers pointed out that Blake and her producing partner, Colleen, may have been planning to secure the rights to the sequel behind Justin's back as far back as August. When a reporter asked Blake if she'd be interested in the follow-up, she allegedly responded that she would, if Colleen could secure the rights. The kicker? Colleen didn't act surprised, fueling speculation that a secret plan had already been in motion. Even Candace Owens has chimed in on her show, analyzing the drama between Blake, Justin, and Taylor. Candace noted that Taylor appeared to be far more involved in the film than fans initially believed, even pointing out that Taylor's name appears in the end credits. That revelation shocked Swifties since many assumed she was just a bystander, not a player in the behind-the-scenes negotiations.
And I just know how friends are when girls chat. I don't think she just walked in there and said, hey, I love her script changes. That doesn't sound right to me. So backing away from it now feels a little shady. I'm not saying I'm blaming Taylor Swift for everything. I'm just saying that I don't buy that she didn't know he was going to be there. You either read the script or you didn't. But I do probably buy that she was a little embarrassed about that text message referring to her as a dragon, because it is bullying, and she has very carefully crafted her brand to make people believe that she doesn't engage in that. But I actually think she does, a lot. And people can't defend themselves against whatever narrative she puts out with her Easter eggs. I think men are scared to stand up and say that actually didn't happen.
And that's not all. Candace also claimed that Taylor may have been the real force behind a major New York article that painted Justin in a negative light. According to Candace, it wasn't just random bad press. It looked more like a calculated PR move designed to protect Blake and shift the spotlight away from the controversy.
Well, we'll tell you guys, yesterday we did this episode. Obviously, you saw it. I just was starting to put together this timeline like the psycho that I am, and recognize that Taylor Swift was just in the mix a lot. She's listed on special thanks to Taylor Swift on the credits of It Ends With Us. We had a lot of question marks about why that was. And again, just her particular flavor and style of I'm the victim and like these horrible men did something to me. And I personally did not feel that Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds had the star power to get the New York Times to risk their professional reputation to help take down Justin Baldoni. That's like global star power. That's something Kris Jenner can get done, Taylor Swift can get done, Beyonce can get done. Not Ryan Reynolds, not a Blake Lively for sure. Anyway, so today woke up, Daily Mail, huge article. And I want to tell you something first and foremost before we even discuss this article. Do not let people mistake you into thinking this is just a gossip column, okay? I've hung around some of these A-listers. I used to be friends with Kanye West. I know how this works. And let me tell you something that is well known in Hollywood is that Taylor Swift has plugs, especially at the Daily Mail, when she wants to get a narrative out.
Candace also dropped another bombshell. She revealed that Taylor allegedly had a hand in getting one of the composers on the film fired. Yes, Taylor's track My Tears, Ricochet ended up being featured in the movie, but if what Candace says is true, that's an unusual amount of influence for someone who wasn't officially part of the production team. It raised eyebrows and fueled speculation that Taylor wasn't just a passive friend supporting Blake. She may have been exercising serious pull behind the scenes.
I am going to show you that footage, and I'm going to see whether or not you recognize the young man that is saying goodnight to Taylor Swift on November 8th, 2024. Now we're fast forwarding into the timeline. He's saying a sweet goodnight to Taylor Swift just a month before the now infamous Blake Lively filing. Take a look and a listen.
Wait, excuse us.
Taylor, sleep tight.
Taylor, sleep tight. You will recall that I kept saying that someone like Blake Lively, this was my gut instinct, she could not have had the star power to get the New York Times to put their entire professional reputation on the line to smear someone like Justin Baldoni. They are just not in that camp of celebrities. They are not that high up of the celebrity food chain, okay? Blake Lively can get an article dropped in TMZ. Blake Lively can get an article dropped in The Guardian. Blake Lively cannot get Pulitzer Prize winning New York Times journalists to smear someone like Justin Baldoni. That was why I was drawn to Taylor Swift as a character. The person that you just saw saying goodnight to or sleep tight to Taylor Swift is none other than Ronan Farrow. And yes, someone just dropped it in the chat. people are recognizing that as Ronan Farrow. Now, why is that extremely significant, okay? Because he is the Pulitzer Prize winning Me Too journalist who is credited with having taken down Harvey Weinstein. He is, Ronan Farrow, without question, the father of the Me Too movement, the father of false allegations against men, also credited with taking down Matt Lauer. Matt Lauer, by the way, was innocent. I know that sounds crazy to you guys. I'm not even on the left. I'm telling you, it was insane. Men were losing everything overnight, and it was all because the New York Times wrote these explosive pieces, okay? The sighting of her with Ronan Farrow came as a surprise to her fans. That's why it generated so many headlines and people in fan forums discussing, when did the two of these people become friends? Okay, here's an example, the Daily Mail. Taylor Swift's surprising new friendship with liberal journalist Ronan Farrow revealed. And I'll read you some from that article. It says, Taylor Swift's unlikely friendship with Ronan Farrow is getting the spotlight after they were seen partying it up with famous pals in New York City this weekend. But again, Ronan Farrow, what does he have to do with Blake Lively? What does he have to do with Justin Baldoni? Okay, well, he is arguably the most powerful journalist at the New York Times. You could say this, he's a Nepo baby, he's got deep connections to Hollywood. But the question here that you should be asking yourselves is, if Ronan Farrow was the father of the Me Too movement, who was the mother? Because he wasn't the only one credited with the launch of the movement. He wasn't the only journalist, Nepo baby, who won a Pulitzer Prize for launching it. Take a look at who did. Here they are. The reporters who exposed Harvey Weinstein. In their new book, She Said, the Pulitzer Prize winning reporters Jodi Kantor and Megan Twohey take readers inside the investigation that launched a movement. Jodi Kantor and Megan Twohey were the mothers of the Me Too movement, okay? And that woman on the right, Megan Twohey, is indeed the woman who wrote the takedown piece regarding Justin Baldoni, okay? These three people, Ronan Farrow, Jodi Kantor, and Megan Twohey, were the people behind the entire movement that I have been spending so much of my time fighting.
Candace also revealed how Taylor got one of the composers working on the movie fired. Yes, her track My Tears Ricochet is featured in the movie, but this was a lot of pull for an artist working behind the scenes.
So apparently, toward the end of filming for It Ends With Us, and also simultaneously the end of the filming for Deadpool, because remember, these films were filming at the exact same time, suddenly the It Ends With Us crew decided that they needed a new composer. It's very strange. The movie has a composer, and you would not be hiring that person or trying to change that person or fire that person late in the day. You don't just suddenly switch out the composer a year after you begin filming. That sounds very stressful. And what was even more interesting is that not only did they remove the It Ends With Us composer, but they decided to use Deadpool's composer. Okay, so here's the clip that I didn't show you before because I wasn't sure about this piece. And here is Deadpool's composer, Rob Simonson, discussing that sudden change in the phone call that he got. Take a listen. Again, this is Deadpool's composer, Rob Simonson, appearing on the Score podcast.
So there was like a week of recording left on Deadpool, and I suddenly get a text from Blake, and she sent a little video saying, I'm doing this thing, need a score. Can you deliver it in a week? And I said, I don't think a week, but maybe 3 if we have 3. So that materialized, and yeah, so it was sequential. Was able to kind of finish up Deadpool, but I was going from the dub of Deadpool and going back to the studio at night working on Blake's film. So
in a
it was
week,
a little nutty. Well, it ended up being about a month.
I have to wonder, I mean, no interest in dishing, but was there a composer before that or did they just one day wake up and say, oh, you know what we need? A score. Call that guy who's doing my husband's movie. Maybe he has time. I mean, How do you end up getting a call with, we're in that kind of a pinch, unless I kind of guessed correctly?
Yeah, I think probably it was a scenario of a last second replacement.
A last second replacement of a composer in which someone got kicked out of It Ends With Us and they pulled over this guy from Deadpool last.
And if you're wondering how Candace came to that conclusion, she pointed to a Reddit post from an anonymous insider. This person had apparently spilled the tea long before the lawsuit and public drama unfolded. According to the post, Taylor allegedly pushed to have the composer removed because he had been rude to her in the past. Now, whether or not that's true is still up for debate. But the fact that this rumor surfaced months earlier and now seems to line up with what's being revealed has people convinced Taylor may have had more power behind the scenes than anyone realized.
So Blake uses a T Swift song in the movie that the studio loves having in there. Again, that fact check's true. We all know that they used a Taylor Swift song and they did a lot of press about that. Taylor Swift finds out that the original composer for the movie is someone that she worked with in the past that was mean to her. And she says it's either me or it's him. So you can use my song, but you got to get rid of this composer. Sony fires that composer to keep the Taylor Swift song.
If there's one thing Taylor Swift wants to avoid more than anything right now, it's being dragged into court over this explosive lawsuit. That's why, according to insiders, she's quietly distancing herself from Blake. But here's the issue with so much evidence and speculation piling up. Fans aren't convinced Taylor was as innocent in this saga as she wants people to believe. Even Blake's own family has started to step back. Her brother-in-law, Bart Johnson, posted an apology on his X account on January 28, 2025. He wrote, "Anytime I've said something unkind, I've regretted it. Even when I thought I was standing up for someone, it's never the right way. I regret it, and I'll do better." While Bart didn't name names, fans quickly assumed he was talking about Justin, since he had previously called him a fraud. To many, this looked like a quiet attempt to mend fences. Meanwhile, rumors continue to swirl that Justin is holding back even more explosive receipts. Some fans believe there may even be private recordings involving Blake, Ryan, and Taylor, which would explain why Blake once referred to them as her dragons if those receipts ever go public. It could be devastating for everyone involved. And that's why critics say Taylor has been taking extra measures from planting favorable press stories to publicly distancing herself in an effort to protect her reputation. But what do you think? Is Justin really sitting on shocking evidence that could flip this entire case upside down? And was Taylor secretly pulling more strings behind the scenes than anyone realized? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to check out this next video for even more updates on the scandal.